as well as YouTube, Facebook Live, and anywhere you hear the sound of my voice. I'm your host, Dave Thompson. Check with you live tonight. Senior NBA writer for the 3pointconversion.com, covering the Charlotte Hornets. And this is game number 17 of the season. And, well, last night we were off to a great and happy start last night, talking about the Charlotte Hornets in their victory last night over the Orlando Magic. But in most cases, it's kind of hard to win 2 games in a row against the same team, especially with a 24-hour window, because there was some changes in the game tonight. And, well, it didn't work out for for Charlotte's favorite tonight, 117 to 108. The Orlando Magic improved their record to 8-10. The Buzz now fall to 7-10. Charlotte's third game of an 8-day stretch where they play 6 times in the next 8 nights. It was a different game tonight. And like I said, for those, before we get into it, also, if you're on the Haps TV app as well, too, please subscribe. Also sponsor as well, too. And as you see what Precious did tonight, hello, Precious, as always. Also, if you have the heart, go ahead. Give the Super Heart Award. Also, donate coins, like I said, to the Haps account, like I said, for myself and the other journalists on the site. It's a great way to just show appreciation for the hard work that we do around here. So, also follow me on Haps as well as on Twitter at Danny DANNY number 3 Thompson on Twitter. All right. Since you're down the Haps app, like I said, you get the 100 coins to also be able to support the work as well, you see too. So let's get into the game tonight. There was a big change in the lineup tonight for Orlando, and I think this is the change that made dividends. If you read my article on 3pointconversion.com yesterday before the game on Sunday, I wrote about how Aaron Gordon had been a defaulto point forward over the last since Markelle Fultz's injury. Well, he didn't play on Sunday night, and even though Orlando did a solid job, Aaron Gordon controlling the basketball is a little different story. Don't mind the turnovers, and he's only averaging 5 assists a game. Well, that's a completely different story. But what Aaron Gordon has done is that he's become the point forward that when Frank Vogel was the head coach, that he turned him into, kind of like that utility Paul George role tonight. And Aaron didn't really do it on the offensive side of the ball. You could tell he's still lingering with the hip injury. You can also tell he just wasn't 100%, but his impact on the game changed everything. Like I said, Charlotte, we'll start with the game, and then we'll go through game balls tonight. With tonight's game, Charlotte started off on fire in the first quarter. You would thought that Charlotte was about to blow this game open. They were up by as many as 15 in the first quarter, but before people start complaining about the 15-point lead in the first quarter, realize it's the first quarter. NBA is a game of runs, and things happen. Charlotte has had the same issues with defensive problems all season long, and nothing has changed. First quarter, the defense played well. They were surrounding shooters. They were making things difficult for Orlando on that side of the ball. Orlando shot 25% in the first quarter. Charlotte got off to a hot start. Gordon Hayward, another big first quarter. He had 10 points in the first quarter. The defense was rotating. Orlando wasn't hitting shots. And remember, going into this 2-game series, Orlando was the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA tonight. It is what it is. Orlando doesn't have very many shooters, and you can tell in the first quarter they struggled to shoot the basketball. If you take away Vucevic's 2 3-pointers made, everybody else was 1 for 9. Charlotte was playing good defense, and they were up 30-19 into the first quarter because of team defense. In the second, even the second unit with Ball, Bridges, Zeller was starting to push the tempo, and you would think that Orlando was about to have a night with getting blown out. What happened in the second quarter was what happens in any other Charlotte game this season. Charlotte gets complacent in the second quarter. And when Charlotte gets complacent in the second quarter, number one, they stop hitting shots. And number 2, they just lose the game itself. My man, big shots, my man, Sky OG in the chat. Listen, if you're looking for some great stuff, before I can continue, check out OG and my main man, Ryan Hollins. They do a great show on Instagram as he plays Let Me Take You to the Movies. Your boy bangs in the building, because really what Orlando was doing in that second quarter was banging down 3-pointers once again, and Charlotte had poor rotations. It was everybody on the court with poor rotations. Orlando was getting threes. Cole Anthony was on fire in the quarter. It wasn't even Ross hit one, but Dwayne Bacon. Orlando was getting wide open shots, and when Orlando's getting wide open shots, it just wasn't. It wasn't pretty. It really wasn't a pretty effort on Charlotte's end. The bench in the second quarter for Orlando took the game over. They had 19 of 36 points in the quarter. Khem Birch is a different type of player. I've watched Khem play for a long time in Orlando, but he's much more aggressive, especially on the offensive end. Everybody knows about what he does defensively, but really his offensive game has been something special over the last time, especially since Orlando hasn't had Mo Bamba. They're allowing him to play much more on the offensive side of the ball. 19 points came in the quarter from the bench. Charlotte only had 24 points in the entire quarter. Outside Devontae Graham's 2 3-pointers in the quarter, Terry Rozier started getting going on offense, but PJ Washington struggled. Cody Zeller only played like 55 seconds. LaMelo Ball had his moments. I mean, the minus 15 was bad in the quarter, but really the entire team was bad in the quarter as well, too. Charlotte was down again, and you would have thought that this was about to happen again. It was a 1-point lead at halftime, 55-54. But you can feel the wheels were turning in Orlando's favor, and guess what? The third quarter turned around, and Charlotte just couldn't do anything in the third quarter. They struggled from behind the arc. They were taking bad shots. They were forcing things left and right. They were forcing shots. None of them were going in. What happened on Sunday night where Gordon Hayward took over the third quarter, he tried it again. He had 11 points in the quarter, but unlike we had last night, there was nobody else doing anything. Hayward was the only person in the starting five that scored the entire quarter. Listen, but what Charlotte did start finding success was using Gordon Hayward and the 4 bench players together. We started seeing a change in the pattern of the game with Ball, Bridges, Zeller, and Martin, with Hayward running the court most of the third quarter. They tried to get back in the game, but like I said, Charlotte just struggled to do anything offensively. And listen, as bad as Orlando had been shooting, they were horrible from the free throw line. Aaron Gordon missed 5 free throws in the quarter. But Orlando shot 54% from the quarter, and there was really nothing they can do. Or every Orlando starter was plus 10 or higher in that quarter, with the exception of Gordon, who had 5 rebounds in the quarter to go along with 3 points. Cole Anthony was getting wide open looks, and Cole Anthony looked like the guy that, listen, he like the guy we saw in high school that was going to be dominant. 87-76 at the end of 3. Hayward had 24 points at the point leading Charlotte, but he wasn't getting much help from anywhere else. Miles Bridges had 10 at the end of 3. And like I said, Vucevic and Cole Anthony both had 20 at the end of 3. In most cases, Charlotte in the fourth quarter always finds ways to get back in this game, but tonight it wasn't the case. Every time Charlotte would get into a space in the game where they get to that 10-point threshold, that 9 or 10-point threshold we've seen all season, tonight they just couldn't get over the hump. Give Orlando's defense credit in the fourth quarter. Charlotte did everything they could to try to get back in the game. Orlando hit big threes down the stretch. It came from Gary Clark. They got one from Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier. They had pretty much everybody in the quarter scored. Nikola Vucevic was doing Vucevic things. And no matter what Devontae and Terry did in the fourth quarter, because once again tonight, they both woke up in the fourth quarter, just wasn't enough. Charlotte fell tonight by a score of 117. Like I said, 108 tonight. Like I said, look, the leaders for Charlotte tonight was Gordon Hayward with 24 points. Rozier had 24 as well, too. Devontae had 21 in 36 minutes to go along with 3 assists tonight. Like I said, PJ Washington struggled 1 for 6 on the floor tonight with 6 rebounds. Bismack Biyombo, 7.7 rebounds. Off the bench, Cody Zeller had his best game since his return, 15 points and 11 points and 7 rebounds. Miles Bridges had 10 points. LaMelo Ball, 9 points, 4 assists, 2 turnovers tonight. In Charlotte's case, like I said, Vucevic had a game-high 28. Cole Anthony probably had his best game of the season tonight, even though he had 5 fouls. 21 points, very efficient. Aaron Gordon, was a key tonight. 12 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists for the Magic as they close out the back-to-back home end series. So let's look at what we saw tonight, and let's talk about this game tonight. Let's go somewhere. My main mayor rated in the chat. Melo played 21 minutes tonight, and Graham played 36. You'll never win like that. Well, Devontae Graham did it in the fourth quarter against tonight. He had 12 points in the fourth quarter. Tonight really wasn't about the minutes. It's because of the fact that tonight was all about what Charlotte had allowed Orlando to do again. It's been a growing trend. Charlotte can't defend the three-pointer. It's been going on 5 games now, and it's not even the fact of minutes. It's always the fact of Charlotte cannot seem to guard teams at the three-point line. It was already bad enough we saw it in Toronto. Chicago did it last week, and now Orlando, the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA, has done it consistently the last 2 nights. For as good as defense Charlotte's been, Orlando hasn't scored 100 points in a game but twice before the injury, before the last 2 games against Charlotte. They hit in back-to-back nights. They scored 117. You can't give 117 points to Orlando Magic, especially when the deficiency of scores. But you can tell Orlando's offense was different tonight than they have been in previous games. Aaron Gordon does make a difference. Okay, you could take away the bad free throw shooting for Aaron Gordon. You also can take away the fact that Aaron Gordon he had a couple turnovers. But Aaron Gordon playing at the top of the key allows Cole Anthony to be much more aggressive when it comes to being offensive. Nikola Vucevic is still one of the best centers in the NBA, and Evan Fournier always has good games against Charlotte. The defense tonight for Charlotte was just bad. We saw it in the second half. They started playing better last night. The defense was bad. Normally, the defensive lapses happen in the first and second quarter. Tonight, it was the second and third quarter. And the magic number, as Del Curry always says, if Charlotte keeps teams under 30 points in a quarter, they normally win. They normally did. Orlando hit 30 points in the second, third, and fourth quarter. That's it. No matter what the game plan was tonight, there's been some problems, and it's really. But we talk about defending the 3-pointer, but it's also allowing teams to get the open defender on the 3-point line. It's ball rotations, it's good passing by the other team, but it's also a lot of ball watching from the Hornets, and it was way more than it was way worse for some players other compared to others, and other players have had worse nights than this, and other players play better. It's if you look at the minute distribution tonight, in Borrego's rotation tonight, we saw Cody Zeller get more minutes. Miles had 28 minutes tonight. LaMelo played 21 off the bench. Really, Miles played a lot because PJ just wasn't playing well tonight. Biyombo's going to be Biyombo, but I think with Cody, this is a game that's going to give Cody confidence. And I really think that as we get back to Wednesday, when they get back home for Indiana, I think Cody's minutes might increase even more, and we might even see Cody get back in the starting lineup on Wednesday. I think there might be a lineup change on Wednesday with Cody Zeller getting back in the lineup with Bismack Biyombo going back to the bench. It changes a little bit of the lineup. Zeller provides a little bit more height on the floor, and it changes a little bit differently. I don't see any differences in the change of the backcourt. Terry got it going in the second half. Devontae shot his regular game, like 6 of 15 on the floor, but he hit 4 3-pointers. Another 20-point game for Devontae, a 24-point game for Terry. I think the change in lineup is going to happen with Zeller. And I think when Zeller gets pushed in the lineup, I can see Biyombo's minutes getting cut because I don't think JB is still going to give up a small ball just yet because at times it works. It's just tonight, okay, Nikola Vucevic is a potential top 5 center in the league, and he's arguably the best offensive center in the league. As far as his full-fledged offensive game, on the scoring end, I don't know if there's a better center offensively in the league than Vucevic because of the fact that if he gets in the low post, he scores. He's definitely dangerous in the mid-range. He also can knock down 3-pointers. He's a 3-level scorer as a big, and it's hard to defend. And when Charlotte doesn't have a guy that can bang with him down low, he's going to get easy hook shots in the paint. And if you're not quick enough to take him on the perimeter, he's going to shoot a 3-pointer. Or if he gets stuck in the pick and roll, and you can't pick him up on the pick and roll, he's going to hit you for the pick and pop. Vucevic is arguably a dangerous center, and Charlotte seems to struggle against those type of centers. Now, Wednesday night's matchup is Miles Turner. Miles Turner hasn't been rebounding as much as he used to, but Miles Turner also blocks shots at a higher rate. He also has extended his game out to the 3-point line. The good news on Wednesday is that if they can somehow get Turner in foul trouble, Sabonis ain't blocking nobody. All right, Sabonis ain't blocking nobody. We're just gonna say it now. For some reason, I'm trying to get the chat going. Okay, there we go. James Borrego needs to run a zone because he has too small. He has to run guards. Okay, yeah, he has to run zone, but also at the same time, you're running zone because of the fact that there is no paint protection as well too. There's more reasons why you run zone in the NBA. It's not because of the size of guards. It's also because somebody can't protect the paint. Nothing against PJ Washington, but he's also 6'7". We've all known this all season. Charlotte doesn't have anybody at this point on the roster that blocks shots. Biyombo is okay. He's not the player he was 4 or 5 years ago. That's what it is. Charlotte doesn't have a shot blocking center. Could they go out and go get one? Hey, call JaVale McGee. See if you can go get him from Cleveland. I don't see this team trade for Andre Drummond at this point in time because I don't think Charlotte's going to take on the responsibility of trying to potentially have to worry about signing him in the offseason. They might find something. The question about Vernon Carey and Nick Richards is that these guys haven't had a summer. I think they'll head to Orlando, one of the two, if not both. I think they'll get a lot of experience. Jay Hernandez will be the head coach down there. Wherever one can protect the rim and protect the paint and play low post down in Orlando when the G League starts in a couple of weeks, I think that's the one that's going to be in the rotation when we get back in March as we get closer to the playoffs. LaMelo's not playing starter minutes yet. It's just embarrassing. Well, here's the thing. It's it was this game is not about LaMelo Ball, and LaMelo Ball, like I said, wasn't exactly the best tonight. I mean, it was a better game. It wasn't the game he played on last night. He did have 4 assists. He did have 3 turnovers. He did miss 5 3-pointers tonight, and I mean, a lot of those threes. He missed a ton of threes tonight. He missed 5 of them. Mike Patton in the chat. Nick Richards needs clock. Nick Richards needs experience. Okay, Nick Richards is not. Nick Richards is still light Vernon Carey. These guys are second round picks for a reason. Okay, if they were ready for the league, they would have been ready right now. I think Charlotte is still not in the experimentation phase because Charlotte is still right there when it comes to being in the playoffs. You remember this year with 10 teams being in the playoffs, there's still room to try to make the playoffs. I think if this team somehow gets out of the playoff hunts, then yes. Or if one of those two ball out in Orlando, I cannot see JB not getting rotation, especially with Jay Hernandez teaching the same principles and same style they have when they go down to the G League. Richards isn't ready. I'm sorry, Mike. He's not ready yet. He can't. When we actually see him in clock, he still looks like a deer in headlights. At this point in the game, with Charlotte being where they are, they're right around that 10 spot. It's not time to experiment. If this thing goes sour quickly, then you start experimenting. Because Charlotte is still competitive, you don't want to start worrying about it. They're still competitive. If they start not getting competitive, it's a different story. I think because he's not ready for this game. I think that the train of thought is he didn't have a summer, and that's the truth. The summer would have helped him with the game. If imagine LaMelo Ball, who played professionally last year, still says the game is too fast for him. Imagine how the speed is for a big who really played with a bunch of other talented players. He did not really dominate in college. He was okay at college. He was solid for what he was, but he wasn't a guy that dominated college. So imagine if a rookie who's the 3rd overall pick and you see guys like James Wiseman still adjusting to the game, imagine what Nick Richards should do. Not saying he can't play. I just think he just needs more time. And the bad part is there's not enough practice time, and there's not enough practice time. 6 games, 8 nights, and then you have to always worry about the health of the players, the wear and tear on this team because there's so many games and injuries. You got to maintain that. I don't know if we might see Nick over the next couple of games or even Vernon in the next stretch because they play 3 games in 4 nights starting Wednesday with the 2 games, 3 nights Indiana and then Milwaukee. But let's be honest, if Charlotte somehow loses the next 3 games, we get down to 7-13 at this point, maybe you start having those conversations about seeing about rotations. Because the good news is after the stretch, I think they play 12 of the next 14 at home. So there'll be a lot more time to be in Charlotte. But like I said, those guys might be in Orlando before it's all said and done. Game balls tonight. Like I said, Gordon Hayward, 24 points. He still was hit the turnover bugaboo. He had 5 of them tonight. But he did have 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Much more efficient from the free throw line. He was 3 for 4 tonight from the line tonight. Also give a game ball to Cody Zeller. Listen, as much Cody looked like the player that he was before the injury, 11.7 rebounds in 18 minutes, extremely solid. Plus 15, the best on the floor tonight. Made a couple of dunks. He was around the rim, got to the free throw line 8 times tonight. So Zeller gets my second game ball, and Terry Rozier finally broke out of the scoring slide, had a big second half. There's a reason why Terry Rozier is considered, or he is ranked in the NBA as one of the best second half scorers, especially in the fourth quarter in the league, because guess what? Tonight, Rozier had 13 more points in the fourth quarter. He now passed Gordon Hayward in the league leader list among fourth quarter scoring. So Rozier gets third game ball tonight after Cody and after Gordon Hayward again tonight. All right, so like I said, it was a weird night tonight for Charlotte. They did not take both games. They split with Orlando. Now you got the Indiana Pacers coming to town, and the Pacers are a different team than what Charlotte's played all season. They have a shot blocking interior guy in Miles Turner. They have a really, really good bench. Malcolm Brogdon is the most underrated player in the league at point guard. They still have Karis LeVert, but you have T.J. Warren, Domantas Sabonis. I even mentioned he's the all-star of the roster. The Pacers are talented. They will have everything going for them. And if you look at how Indiana is shaped and how their minutes are played out and how this team looks, they won again tonight. They beat the Raptors tonight, 129-114. If you look at how they played tonight, remember this team is still transitioning after the Victor Oladipo trade. So Oladipo's not in the lineup, but when they replaced him with Justin Holiday, a much more defensive player, it allowed Brogdon to be much more dangerous on the offensive side of the ball. Jeremy Lamb had 22 points tonight. Sabonis only played 11 minutes. We'll keep update on him as we get closer to Wednesday night. Miles Turner, like I said, 21 points, 10 rebounds. He blocked 3 shots tonight. He's the NBA shot blocking leader. Their bench is really good. McConnell, Jeremy Lamb, Aaron Holiday. They're really, really good. Doug McDermott is a guy you don't want to leave open because he can knock down shots. The Pacers are really, really deep. They're a very, very deep team. I like the Pacers. They're going to run up and down. Charlotte's going to have a couple days, have a day and a half to basically lick their wounds because I'm going to tell you this. There's been everybody clamoring for a lineup change. I get it. At some point, the lineup change will come. It will come. The day the team hands everything over the LaMelo Ball, it's coming. It's coming. If they lose these 3 games in fashion like they lose tonight, and Charlotte will then at that point have lost, 7 of 8 games, I think a wholesale change will be coming at that point. If Charlotte loses the next 3 games, I think James Borrego will be forced to have to make a line change. You're going to have to inject something to save the season at this point. But if Charlotte can turn around and win 2 of these 3 games over the next 3 games, 2 games, if they win 2 of the next 3 against Indiana and Milwaukee, guess what? It'll be status quo. There's no James Borrego's not on the hot seat, and even if he loses these 3 games, he's not going to be in the hot seat. Borrego, this team is way better than what they've been and way better than they expected this early. I don't expect James Borrego to be anybody's hot seat. He's not getting fired. I don't think he's going to get fired because Charlotte is getting better and they're developing the right way. This is a developmental project. Once again, they're not going to ship James Borrego out the door anytime soon. The fire Borrego movement is not getting anywhere. You can fire him on 2K. You can start your franchise and go hire a new head coach. You're not firing James Borrego. Mark Jackson's not coming nowhere near this building. There's not going to be a coaching change anytime soon. Okay, unless this team literally loses the next 35 plus games in a row, or had a tremendously bad losing streak, there's no way they're going to go on Borrego right now, because the expectation was not to be a top 6 team in the NBA. The expectation was to be better than what they were last season, and especially with a year where you didn't finish last season, a year you didn't have any offseason, a year where you did not have the actual same time that you had, because remember, players could not be with their teammates throughout the majority of COVID. They had 2 weeks. They had 10 days literally between the last time they were together in March and the start of training camp. They had 10 days to be together. And Miles, and you didn't have Gordon Hayward. You didn't have Richards. You didn't have Ball. You didn't have Carey, Grant Riller. You didn't have any of those guys with you. Okay. And even Biyombo wasn't there either. So a lot of the guys were missing. So you didn't have that time to gel. You literally had to put this thing together in 2 weeks, play 5 preseason games, and try to get your starters back into shape. So it really wasn't time to develop this team. I think in any case, for a lot of teams, especially this one, it's going to be a pass here. Like, it's going to be a point where you're going to get a lot of evaluation. You see a lot of development. But this is a developmental situation. So I don't expect James Borrego to be shipped out anytime soon. And it's the case of, what can Charlotte do better? What can they do better? The easiest thing to do better is stopping the 3-point shot. It's literally stopping teams from hitting the 3-point shot. I'm not sure how Charlotte's going to be able to figure this part out, because once they can figure it out, things will be so much better for the Hornets when they can figure out how to stop the 3-point shot, because that's what's been killing them over the last few games. It's not just the fact that they're hitting them. It's the fact of Orlando missed about maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 wide open 3-pointers in the game. They not, like I said, they might have hit someone hands in their faces, but they missed about a good 4 or 5 3-pointers from wide open point blank range. The defensive rotations have been flat out atrocious, and maybe the team might have to back away from the zone. You can't play man-to-man just yet because they still struggle with man-to-man defense. So we don't know what they're capable of. And you look at the Indiana scouting report for tomorrow night, for Thursday night. Indiana, is 20th in the NBA in three-point shooting percentage. All right. They're 20th. The good news is they are the second worst in the NBA in three-point percentage allowed. That plays in the Charlotte's favor. Charlotte wants to shoot three-pointers. This team allows almost 40% behind the three-point line. Light them up. Borrego's going to have to push the tempo and get these guys open. And they're going to have to find ways to keep Sabonis and Miles Turner off the boards, because if Sabonis is going to be able to go, otherwise it's going to be a long night on Thursday night. So with this being said, this is the end of the Hornets BuzzCity post-game show for the 17th game of the season against Orlando. Check me out on the threepointconversion.com. As well as the 3 Point Conversions YouTube page for all post-game interviews, pre-game interviews, and also shoot-around comments. Because like I said, the Hornets are off tomorrow as they travel back home. There is no shoot-around tomorrow. So we'll have updated coverage and footage on Wednesday on the YouTube page. So follow me on Twitter at Danny, DANNY, number 3 Thompson on Twitter, as well as please subscribe to me on Haps, which is Haps TV /Danny Thompson, #TV /Danny Thompson. Also, like I said, you saw what Mike has done, you saw what Precious did. Also, if you like the work, by all means, please feel free to donate the coins, or if you like to subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, we'll see you on Wednesday night for the BuzzCity post-game show. Let's hope that Wednesday night becomes a victory. I'll catch you guys later. Stay safe. Peace out.